Sunny skies, dense greenery in the backdrop, sunglasses. Yep, there's only one place that I could be. It's definitely not in the UK. Definitely not the UK. No, I am in Portugal right now. And behind me, you can see a building there. That is a retreat center. It's actually really cool. That is where I'll be teaching for the next week, starting from tomorrow. I have a class of 15 people that will be turning up, and I will be conducting workshops and classes around breath work, around guided meditations, and reflective studies, and teaching them my conscious integrated awareness program. So before the work begins, I wanted to share with you just what's been on my mind over the last couple weeks, and just explain a little bit about how I've come to the point where I am right now in my life. And from this, perhaps there's something you can extract and apply into your own day-to-day life. You see, the path that we all walk right now is one of uncertainty. There's so many inputs, so many things reaching out at us from this world that are telling us that we need to assign ourselves labels, put ourselves into boxes, because then it truly gives us value and purpose. And when I look back over the timeline of my life, I have been many things. I was a retail worker. I was a soldier. I was a medic. I was a Reiki practitioner. I was a breathwork coach. I even tried my hand at life coaching for men and women. Then I tried my hand at property development. And over this timeline, I had a multitude of relationships that also taught me a lot about myself. But the greatest takeaway that I have learned from each of those experiences is that as a human being, you're actually doing yourself a disservice by assigning yourself a label and putting yourself in a box, because you are more than just one thing. And that's taken me a great deal of time to work out myself, because I've tried my hand at so many different business models, right? Especially using social media as the means to propel and bring awareness to that business. The reason why they didn't really stick is primarily because I didn't have the discipline and the routines necessary to get them off the ground, but also fundamentally they went against my very purpose. They went against my very belief system in life. I tried to be a fitness influencer. I tried to be a video editor. I've tried to be a podcaster. And all these points are things that I resonate with, are elements of my personality. But deep down inside, it's not fundamentally who I am. That's something you've got to ask yourself. Like, where you are in life right now, just stop what you're doing and just think, am I doing something that actually resonates with who I am as a person? Or am I living for the sake of a narrative that I adopted? Is it something that your parents told you that you're meant to do? Is it something that perhaps your partners told you or try to persuade you to be? Maybe it's your friend. Maybe it's the people that are in your social group. Are you just following a path that everyone else is going down? All right, and it doesn't mean that you need to have great, grand dreams. Not everybody wants to be a, 7-figure CEO of a company, because that within itself has its own problems. Not everybody wants to be, someone who just travels the world for a living, because again, that has its own ups and downs, right? I have quite a few friends who are doing the whole digital nomad lifestyle, and they've told me it's not as glamorous as everyone makes it out to believe, but social media just makes it seem that way because you only see the highlights, right? And that's the issue. That's part of like the sickness of this label and status chasing. It's people are constantly looking at the highlights of someone else's life and then think that that's all they do. Right? My buddy Ray, who's out in Bali right now, told me that one of his biggest concerns is that he can never be in one place for too long. Do you know how destabilizing that is? To be in a location and then have to move around because your Airbnb host has either, made a decision that requires you to move, or the simple fact that you can only wear the same type of clothes day in, day out because you can't bring your whole wardrobe with you, or due to travel limitations or restrictions, you then have to alter your plans. You know how uplifting and how uprooting that can be. That type of lifestyle isn't for everyone. I'm somebody who enjoys traveling, but I also know that I like to have a stable foundation. I like to be able to root myself down for a period of time and then plan my next move accordingly. But also, when it comes to the understanding of who you are, the first question really is, what is your purpose in life? And that right there has taken me a good 31 years to figure out. And I'm just going to share a couple points with you that you might be able to use for yourself. So the first thing is, look at where you've been in life. Look at the trajectory of your life. At various points, there have been certain actions in certain places, certain things that you've done, which have really resonated with you and really spoken to you. And if those points sit with you today, that's an indication that you've actually started to align with something that's leading you to your purpose. Second point is also learning about what is it you don't enjoy doing. And that's where we have to experience life. You have to experience different pathways. You have to try different lines of work. You have to, have different relationships. I'm not saying that you have to now go and date the world, or that you have to just throw yourself into everything recklessly, but it's all about gathering information, gathering data, and then reframing the failures. They're not failures. They're just points that helped you understand who you are. Understand what you actually look for in life and what actually works for you. I mean, imagine this, right? You're a basic recruit straight out of training. If you don't take a step in a direction, how are you ever going to know which path to take, right? Before you've picked your class, before you've picked your specialty, your role, how are you going to know unless you try it? And that's another thing. It's this paralysis of taking action out of fear of failure. That's one thing that I have suffered with for so long, and I've made a pledge to myself to stop that. Even just like looking at decisions that I've been speaking about for the past 5 years. I've wanted to go and get my hair done. I wanted to go get hair treatment done, and I took forever just sitting on it, just thinking about it. But once I finished the retreat at the end of June, July, the beginning of July, I'm going to go to Turkey and I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get on a plane. I'm going to go to the facility. I'm going to go get my hair transplant, and I'm going to just go and sit through the process. I'm going to go and heal once it's done. And then I'm going to start looking at traveling elsewhere to take my work across the world. Because the truth of the matter is, unless you actually take the action, action's not going to get taken. And that right there is also a massive part of finding your purpose. And I know it's easier said than done when you aren't confined to a work with rules and regulations. But then ask yourself this question: what can you do about that situation? Be completely honest, because the truth is, you're not trapped. You're never trapped. You've always got a decision, even if the decision brings uncertainty. But the biggest part of that is whether you lean into the uncertainty or whether you're going to stay in the same place. But then you also know, right? So it's not really uncertainty when you think about it. You know that if you stay in the same place, doing the same things, you're going to get the same result. So the only alternative is to make a change, right? That is the only way that you can go forward and create a new branch in your story. It's the only way that you can actually move forward and get a different outcome. So yeah, that's just a little insight I wanted to share with you. And yeah, I hope you found that useful. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with someone if you think that they could use this story. I'll see you guys in the next one. So yeah, stay abundant, my friends. Peace.